Is your office technology holding your business back? At Hamilton, we're more than just an IT provider. We're your partner, focused on building integrated technology solutions tailored to your business needs, both today and for the future. We know that every business is unique, and that's why we provide the services and support you need and nothing you don't. We believe that together, you can continue to serve and support your customers while knowing that your technology is taken care of. Hamilton Business Technologies. Real people, real technology solutions. Connect with us at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Step into healing at Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery. Our team of top-notch medical professionals turns pain into progress with state-of-the-art treatments and compassionate care. Visit prairieortho.com and discover the difference in quality orthopedic and plastic surgery services tailored to your unique needs. Your health matters, and Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery is dedicated to helping you thrive. Reach your full potential. Embrace a better tomorrow with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in temperature-controlled high-end wine room. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for spirits and cigars. That's Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
This is On the Block with Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer, Jay Foreman. Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This is On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
Welcome in. Short Tuesday show. We got the 1 hour for you here before we get you off to Take Down Tuesdays with Nebraska Wrestling head coach Mark Manning. Huskers finishes big at 10, runners up. Can't wait to hear from the head coach about that. Then, of course, teammates timeout taking you from 5 to 6. I am Austin Norman. This is On the Block, brought to you by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. Special ingredient butcher shop with every type of meat and every type of cut. They have 3 Lincoln locations, 84th and Havelock, 85th and Old Cheney, as well as 30th and Yankee Hill. Also a location up at 168th and Maple in Omaha. We welcome in the sniper, the long-range expert, the best shooter of the 3 of them. It's Jake Bachman.
That's right.
Welcome back.
Hey, it's good to be here. I like that introduction. Hopefully my game agrees with that later.
Well, it's just facts, Bach. It's
That's
strictly
right.
factual. I've run the numbers. I've seen the performances. You could outshoot Jay and Strick in your sleep. Let's just jump off right there with number 3. Bryce Williams named first team All Big Ten. Pretty darn good team, all things considered. But let's just start with the Bryce Williams aspect of it. Really cool honor for him. Only the 3rd player in the Big Ten era to be first team all-conference alongside Teran Petaway, then the first since James Palmer Jr. back in 2017-18. Did it feel like Bryce Williams had an all Big Ten first team caliber season to you?
I do think it felt that way. I mean, and then 20 points per game definitely can back that up. He's definitely one of the best players that have worn the scarlet and cream here for quite some time. And you think about it, it's kind of frustrating. They did. I think with the step back and kind of look at his career, and of course they might play in the one of these
college basketball crown, baby,
right? College basketball crown, most likely, than anything. But if you kind of just put a button on his career, it's interesting to compare it to James Palmer Jr., Teran Petaway, and try to think who had the best of those careers. Unfortunately for him, as I think it happened with the other guys, and I guess Palmer's team never made the NCAA tournament, but they kind of leave with a little bit of a disappointing, as far as how far the team went, type of deal. But he was part of a tournament team, and then the next year to be first team All Big Ten, come up a little bit short of a tournament team, but by no fault of his own. I was glad to see that he did get that, because sometimes if you're not playing in the Big Ten tournament, if you're a team toward the end, in fact Northwestern's got a pretty good argument about a guy that missed it, you might not get those recognitions. So I was glad to see that Bryce. And maybe it was through the games, Nebraska, he's a tough matchup for a lot of people. And Nebraska didn't do great against the lower half of the Big Ten, but they could kind of appreciate the challenge that he presented. And then maybe the upper half of the Big Ten, where Nebraska did get a few victories, was really impressed with it as well. So I was glad, because I was worried that the lack of team success might hurt him in this particular honor.
And I could have understood that if people said, oh, how can you have a first teamer that ended up missing the Big Ten tournament entirely, because the rest of the team is a Derek Queen from Maryland, who's been a really big surprise. You get John Tonji from Wisconsin that ascended from the depths. I've been writing off that program for years now, and I'm not going to stop next year. I don't buy it. I don't like it. I don't love it. But they keep exceeding my expectations and plenty of other people's. And then 2 Purdue Boilermakers. Trey Kaufman-Wren is the one that I probably would have bumped down to the second team. Whether it was for Nick Martinelli or either of Michigan's big men, I probably preferred Danny Wolf. Dawson Garcia, another, good numbers, bad team sort of guy. But Bryce Williams get the nod over him. And then Braden Smith, who gets a Player of the Year honors, absolutely deservingly. So, I mean, he's doing stuff only Magic Johnson has done in Big Ten history. That's kind of a big deal. And how about this, Bach? 3rd straight Purdue player to win the Conference Player of the Year award. Of course, the previous 2 were both Zach Edey. Bryce Williams, in his case for first team All Big Ten, is a fascinating one to me, because every time you felt like, yes, it makes sense, there'd be a game he disappears. Like, you needed him to take over at Iowa. Was it Bryce's fault he couldn't take over? Or was it roster construction around him that Nebraska couldn't find more creative ways to get him the ball? You think about the late game scenarios where Bryce Williams is, passing the ball instead of taking it downhill, where it's probably the right play. But he never ended up having his James Palmer Jr. against Illinois moment, where you could tell he's the best player on the team on the court, and he hit that buzzer beater. But then you look at what he did out in Hawaii when he took over in those second 2 games. You look at the fact that he scored 20 or more points over half the time for Nebraska, really close to 2/3 of the time in these games, which is why he ends the year averaging, 20 points per game in Nebraska's 31. I mean, exactly bang on 20 points per game. Pretty darn good rebounder. I think he made some strides there in that category, averaging a little over 4.5 rebounds per game, and ended up being the primary playmaker for Nebraska. Again, part of the engine that made what was left of this Nebraska offense go. I think it's well-deserved for Bryce Williams, and I don't know the next time Nebraska is going to have a first-team All-Big Ten caliber player unless they get another Bryce Williams out of the transfer portal.
Yeah, that's what's hard to, and that's why I still kind of feel like it's frustrating, and I think everybody kind of feels like part of the frustration is you had one of the best seasons, and especially scoring seasons in Nebraska basketball history. Did you capitalize on it with the roster around him? And probably not. Now, if you had a better roster, would have some of his numbers come down? Potentially you kind of play that game too, but man, was he a heck of a player. And, there were some late game scenarios where he probably didn't make the right play. Like you said, did make the right play that didn't turn into anything good for Nebraska. But he, early in the season, was that the 3 he hit at the end of regulation? I mean, he had some
Against
that
Iowa.
weren't quite like winners, but extended games at times. So, I just really was impressed with, his career. And you're right. That's the daunting part in the whole discussion is kind of looking at next year's roster and thinking, okay, they've got a lot of work to do to get a team underway, much less a first team All Big Ten performer likely in there. I did want to ask you real quick, because I think it's interesting, because, college football has had all these different changes. Obviously, everybody's trying to get used to them, whether you like them or you don't. It's constant discussion. But college basketball now kind of hit with this, with the Pac-12 teams coming in, the 18-team tournament. And there was just always something special to me. And it's maybe because I'm a Nebraska basketball fan, and I was used to playing on, watching the games on Wednesdays. But it wasn't necessarily like fair about how in every sport's not just going to give you a chance at a championship down the line. But that was unique to college basketball, is that even if you were 0-18 in conference play, you still had a chance at a national championship. You could still win. Yeah. Still win your conference. And so Nebraska being out of it, like, I guess before I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't know Nebraska. So actively like going through it as a fan now, it's just, I don't necessarily like it. And of course I wouldn't, because my team's missing out, but it just kind of takes away from that March Madness, that special, like, okay, now it's tournament time, when some teams don't get that opportunity. And I still think it's crazy to have a Big Ten tournament and 3 of your teams just are left out. There's just no invitation.
No, I think you're completely onto something there, Bach. So we actually asked Brad Taylor, the vice president for men's basketball, about that when he was on the block a couple weeks ago now, I think it was. And he said the reason that they went with 15 instead of all 18 was because if they went to all 18, they would have to add another day to the tournament. So some teams would play on Sunday, travel day on Monday, and then play right again on Tuesday, which is not what the Big Ten wanted. But this is where I come with the argument of conferences are too freaking big.
Yeah.
Why are there 18 teams in the Big Ten? Does the SEC really need 16 teams? I mean, that's at least a better number where you can, play it down bracket style, but to randomly leave 3 teams floating out in the cold, and you have some great examples of that just this year. Look at what Delaware is doing. They were 1-11 in their last 12 games going into the tournament. They've won 4 games in 4 days, and they have a chance to play their way into the NCAA tournament by beating the 2 seed tonight in the Colonial Championship game. Was Nebraska going to win 5-5 against Big Ten caliber competition they'd lost to before? Probably not. But you're spot on in that you miss out on some of the madness of March when you don't have all those teams. Now, counter argument to that is we're talking about expanding the NCAA tournament to 76 teams. How many people are actually enthused about seeing these lower teams in there? Not many are enthused by it, but that's not to say they don't deserve their same shot.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it kind of just goes back to what you want. And that's the same thing with the college football playoff and expansion and all that is like, how do you want to determine your champion? And trying to find a fair way or the most fair to every program is never going to be equal in certainly in football, then even more so in men's college basketball where there's 300 plus teams or however many there are. But I feel like my team's left out of it's always the long. Nebraska basketball has always been a long shot, and they've never made it through. And obviously, punched in one at the NCAA tournament level. But there was always the chance, and so you just kind of felt like at least you were actively participating. Every fan in the nation had this, this unity that my team still has a chance. It's a small chance, but there's something. And just to be left out of it, it just feels. It
sucks.
It
hurts.
And it's almost like it's crazy because too, I've said for years, Nebraska basketball, when Nebraska basketball made it in 2014, and some of the fans from the 90s maybe didn't have this quite reaction. But for me, I was very much a kid in the 90s last time they made their tournament. So it was almost like, I would say out of body experience, but it almost threw my tradition off to watch Selection Sunday and be like, where do I want my team to be placed? So, there's adjusting and getting through that too. And it is weird. It still is weird if Nebraska has been to the tournament twice since 1999. And so it's definitely a different feeling when Nebraska's in, but it's almost an adjustment. But this is an adjustment that's an adjustment you like to make. This is an adjustment I'm kind of frustrated by, and it's really making me, it really kind of hurts the next CBI, the NIT talk is just because you're so far away from it. You didn't make your conference tournament. Now are you playing in an extra tournament that, those have their own places in the world to begin with.
But that's what we were talking about a little bit during On the Block yesterday. I'd love your opinion on this too, Bach, is who is actually invested in Nebraska playing in the postseason? Fans would probably watch begrudgingly. There's some names that they like and they appreciate. Fred Hoiberg was stumping for his team in the postseason, says we're going to play in postseason basketball. We're confident about that. Nothing we saw on Sunday led you to believe the players want to play in the postseason. So on the one hand, what's the point? But on the other hand, you've watched your fair share of Nebraska men's basketball. You've suffered through it like everyone else has. And this team is still guaranteed to finish this season with a winning record.
Yeah.
Even if they had gone to Indy, went one and done, and then lost their first postseason game, they're still above 500, which is not the baseline, which is not the bar. But think about it in 2005. Think about it in 2011. Think about in 2021. If you had told yourself that Nebraska was 500 or better 3 straight years, you take that in a heartbeat. Basically, no questions asked.
That's right. That's what I thought it was funny about the Fred Hoiberg conversation, where it's like, we want to put this program in a spot where they're going to be in the NCAA tournament year. We're going to be in the NCAA tournament year in and year out. And it's just funny as a Nebraska basketball fan, I go, well, you don't necessarily have to do that. I mean, that's a lot to ask. So it is weird to look back at that. But I don't know. I was a little bit surprised that, and not totally, like, I think that was the route you take, right? If you're Hoiberg and you want to go to the tournament, don't let it linger around, or should they or should they not? And then they get all these arguments about why they shouldn't. Just say, yeah, we're going to do it right away. But it did kind of throw me off because I had those questions going in. It's if they lose, would they be interested in a postseason tournament? Of course, we've seen higher like North Carolina, just teams that have a little bit more to them, declined these in the past. And
well, it's because North Carolina is a dishonorable institution, and they just don't appreciate the sport of basketball like they should. But that might just be one man's opinion.
That might be a Duke man's opinion. But so they declined the NIT. I don't know. And then the roster construction part of it, is everybody gonna be there? Like, what's the motivation after you've been fighting for an NCAA tournament and you come up short? What's the big motivation to winning in there? And I guess it's ending on a good note, but it's going to be a weird experience as well. And I don't know how much more invested I'll be if they lose in the first round of it compared to if they make a little bit of a run. I'll watch because I'm a Nebraska fan. I'm interested, but the story of the season's already written at this point.
Let's go to the Starter Heyman text line here for the last couple minutes of this segment. Isaac, we'll get back to you here in a sec, but Old Dad 34 says, as a fan, I'm not interested in Nebraska playing in the postseason moving forward. Cubsker says the one upside if Nebraska gets the college basketball crown is they would have an extra week before that tournament, which they would, because the college basketball crown starts during the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. Oof. Which is just weird. I don't know what Fox thinks it's doing with that, but congratulations to them for putting that together. Brad says Nebraska has the most inept basketball program in the country. Hard to argue big picture. I do think things are better than they have been, with still plenty of room for improvement. I mean, if you go just by postseason success, it's an F-tier program. You need to invest more. You need more infrastructure. But it's not like Nebraska's always been completely hapless and terrible. Gorilla Bear says zero interest in a Mickey Mouse tournament. That's interesting. And then Isaac on our text line, Starter Heyman Jewelers text line, says, what is the end game with Nebraska ball? And to me, Bach, this has to be the floor, right? Maybe, everyone gets injured. It goes off the rails, but people would understand that. But in a year where most people are healthy, this has to be the floor for Nebraska, where you have a 500 or better record. You ought to make the Big Ten tournament every year. There's really not an excuse for missing that. But if Nebraska's above 500, they're in the NCAA tournament bubble conversation at the very least up until the last week of the year. And then you have to, quote unquote, settle for the NIT or, college basketball crown, whatever. This should be the floor for Nebraska. Asking them to be a perennial NCAA tournament program is a worthy and admirable goal, but Nebraska's not going to be there for another 10, 15 years. And that's if everything goes right. So to me, if you can take any given 5-year chunk, see 3 to 5 postseason appearances and every year above 500, that is the first step in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. It's unfortunate, but you feel like you have to take a few steps before you start running, right? And that's kind of where Nebraska is as a program. So, in this year, it's interesting to talk about, because I know we talked about preseason. They're not necessarily, maybe they shouldn't necessarily have NCAA expectations, and maybe this should be more. NIT would still be a pretty good season, and maybe that's the case too if you take a step back. But it's just where Nebraska was, right, and where they had risen at a certain point in this season, and how many good teams they were able to beat. The non-con, beating Creighton, all that just kind of set up. Okay, now the expectation is NCAA tournament, and certainly it should be.
The last 3 times Nebraska's beaten Creighton, it hasn't made the NCAA tournament.
Interesting.
Makes you wonder.
Makes you wonder how important that game is, as much as we put on that. But yeah, I think overall program expectations, I like you saying that, is that this is not a year, and people would, as in when there's ever any struggles, what about hot seat talk? What about this and that? And it's like, no, I don't think that discussion necessarily belongs. But at this point, it's still, sometimes your success can be used against you too at a certain point. Right. So we'll see. And that would be the argument there. But I agree with you. I think this is kind of a baseline Nebraska basketball season. And you can live with it and then hopefully build on it. But that's where I think a lot of people are having problems, is seeing the next building block from this. This was the building from the previous season.
That's pretty much exactly what it was. Thanks for stopping in, Buck. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for talking.
We'll go to break. Gary Schunkweiler of Heartland of Nebraska Windows is our guest when we get back.
Follow Austin Strick and On the Block on Twitter at Austin Orman, eStrick20, and On the Block 93.7. More of On the Block coming up.
Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in temperature-controlled high-end wine room. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for spirits and cigars. That's Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Hey volleyball fans, this is Laura Dijkema, National Player of the Netherlands and now the setter on Omaha's newest professional team, Love Omaha Volleyball. League volleyball is bringing the heat this year. Don't miss your chance to see Olympians, national players and national champions right here in Omaha from now through April. We can't wait to see you cheering for us in the stands. Visit lovboma.com to buy single match tickets to see me and Love Omaha Volleyball in action. Go Big Green!
What's the radon level at your home? Don't know? Find out with a call to Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating. Make sure your home is safe with a radon check from Bryant. If you've already tested, ask Bryant for a free estimate for mitigation. Once completed, you'll get a report showing how much safer your home is. When it comes to radon, call Bryant 467-1111 for testing and mitigation. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
Lincoln's newest restaurant isn't just a typical sports bar. It's the sports bar for so many reasons. Liquid Asset Sports Bar and Grill in South Lincoln has 23 beers on tap and 36 TVs featuring all things sports from MLB to soccer to golf and more, and football, of course, in the fall. Stop by for their grand opening this Friday, March 14th, and enjoy great food and drink selection at Lincoln's newest go-to, Liquid Asset Sports Bar and Grill at 27th and Jamie Lane in South Lincoln.
Have you heard about Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center? Located at 7555 Pioneers Boulevard, Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center offers compassionate, patient-focused care and provides outpatient surgery services, making it possible to have non-emergency surgery and return home the same day. Advanced Medical Imaging Surgery Center specializes in cardiology, vascular radiology, orthopedics, pain management, and much, much more. Give them a call today at 402-261-1085 or online at amimaging.com.
Step into healing at Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery. Our team of top-notch medical professionals turns pain into progress with state-of-the-art treatments and compassionate care. Visit prairieortho.com and discover the difference in quality orthopedic and plastic surgery services tailored to your unique needs. Your health matters, and Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery is dedicated to helping you thrive. Reach your full potential. Embrace a better tomorrow with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery.
Is your office technology holding your business back? At Hamilton, we're more than just an IT provider. We're your partner, focused on building integrated technology solutions tailored to your business needs, both today and for the future. We know that every business is unique, and that's why we provide the services and support you need and nothing you don't. We believe that together, you can continue to serve and support your customers while knowing that your technology is taken care of. Hamilton Business Technologies. Real people, real technology solutions. Connect with us at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Now back to On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
Welcome back in. This is On the Block. Austin Orman, Jay Foreman, joined by a special guest. We got Gary Schunkweiler of Heartland of Nebraska Windows. This segment, as always, brought to you by Heartland of Nebraska Windows. So let's just bring on the man himself to talk about Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Gary, first of all, thanks for being here. How are you doing today?
Hey, doing pretty good. How you doing, Austin?
Glad to hear it. We are doing great. It's so great to have you here. Let's just start with this. Heartland of Nebraska Windows. How'd you guys get started? Tell us about yourselves.
Well, interesting enough, my wife has been about 30 years in the window industry, and she worked previously with the prior distributor for Heartland Windows. And one day the owner decided to up and just close the doors. So we decided to negotiate a deal for new distributorship with Heartland, the factory. And we came home owning a window company.
And the rest is history.
And the rest is, that was, going on 10 years now.
That's a little bit different approach to riding. Let's just go take a ride, right? You know,
right.
Yeah.
Well, and the irony is I was kind of semi-retired at the time. So I got pulled back into working all the time, and it's been a ride since then. We're a small family owned, operated. Wife and I own it. Kids work for us.
Right.
My son's our foreman, so it works out really well. And
Did you have window experience before owning the company?
no, I mean, other than her selling,
Uh-huh.
no, not really. Nope. In fact, I was never a big fan because a lot of window companies were back in the day kind of operated in like the used car business, is kind of
Sure.
go in high and see what you can get type of a thing. So, but yeah, no, it's a great business and we got a great product. So
Yeah, speaking of your products, I know you guys do it a little bit different. I think you just got I think of it as you guys actually give a little bit more TLC, right? And for
Absolutely.
10 to 11 care, actually get in there and get your hands dirty and do that. Talk about your product, what separates you, because when I read up on you and also hear your commercial, but then hear you talk about it, it is distinct, not taking any shots at anybody else, but
right.
it is distinctly different.
Yeah.
So just kind of give us what you guys do differently, your product and your process, because I think your process is part of your
Sure,
product
absolutely,
as well.
yeah. Well, in investing in windows, you're really investing in not only the window but the installation process. And so when it comes to window, the Heartland window, which is made by Heartland out of Applington, Iowa, has been producing the windows now for about 30 years. And it's the only window that they make. It's the only window that we market brand wise, even though I could market any window because it's such a high quality. It's a all vinyl triple pane window. And what separates us there is the fact that the warranty that they provide covers everything. So typically your glass and your seals are only covered for a certain period of time. Then it's prorated. And then at a certain time there's nothing. So we have an extended warranty after the proration time is over. So the glass, the seals, everything on the window is lifetime warranty. And it's transferable. So if somebody sells their home, it can go to the next homeowner. The installation process is different because most companies out there, they do what's called a pocket window. So they just kind of pull out the old window, leave some framing and so on, and then set that window in there. We go down to the studs. So we pull the casing. We're able to go down, inspect the wood, all the studs, make sure they're good. If they're not, we replace them. Pull out all the old insulation if there is any, and then it allows us to insulate properly, which we use fiberglass and spray foam both. So it's sealed. So since we guarantee our work for life, we want to make sure it's sealed up appropriately. So basically, the high quality window, the warranty is unbeatable, and then the installation process. And because we are a smaller company, we rely on doing that type of service for our customers that gets us the next one, because obviously we don't necessarily get repeat business very often from the same customer.
Because you do a good job the first time.
Well, they bought all the windows. And they're not going to buy any more because they don't need to. So, and that's why Better Business Bureau, we're A+ accredited. We've never had a complaint against us. Our customers love us. And, ironically, the thing they talk about the most is the guys. The guys are funny, they this, that, but they respect the home. They clean up every at the end of whenever they're done for the day and put everything away and vacuum everything up and start the next day then. So it's the
little things, right?
It is the little things, details.
When you talked about your product, obviously with being in Nebraska, now it's just obviously you get the you go from 90-degree heat to 90 below zero, it seems like, but you get a ton of wind. And obviously when it's cold, you talked about insulating it. Talk about your product and how important it is to get it done right, not only because you won't have to come back and fix it, but it'll save people money, right? Am I
absolutely?
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, you can spend all the money you want to on a window, but if it's not installed properly into that opening, and you've got either water or air infiltration, what good was spending the money on a high quality window? So that process is important because one, if the window's not installed properly, it may not operate properly. It may not open, close, lock, that type of thing. Again, the pocket window concept is one where when you measure the windows, because everybody custom builds to fit. If you only leave a quarter of an inch around that window, then you try with a putty knife to shove some fiberglass insulation, obviously it's not going to get you much. Where we leave about a half inch, so we can go ahead and insulate properly, seal it up, and then when we wrap the outside trim work, we seal that all up with silicone. So there's virtually no way that any air or water can get into that. And there's nothing more frustrating. We've had people with new construction within a year of building that house call us and need to replace their windows. because they can sit there and the curtains are just blowing. I mean, it was a lower quality builder window,
Sure.
but it was the air coming in around it because, again, a lot of companies, most of them actually subcontract out their work, in which case you just don't know what kind of work you're going to get.
How important is it to your customers to know that you guys don't subcontract, that you are your own in-house team of installers?
I think it's right up there at the top of the list. And if you asked, any of us that have ever had any type of repair done by anybody in the labor field, if they don't do it right, and then you try to go to the company, they usually get you off to the subcontractor who then get you back to the company because nobody's taking responsibility because they've all been paid. They don't care. Where, it's all in house. So, and we do care and we want to make sure. And again, we don't have time being a small crew to go back and fix things, because then we don't make any money on that. Obviously our money is made when we install people their windows.
Right.
So, I mean, we'll go back in need be, but the other nice thing is we do have a service tech from Heartland, the factory.
Oh, nice.
So if there is some problem, a latch or a lock or whatever, they will come down and service that and take it at no cost to the customer.
Another thing that I know you guys are big on is free estimates.
Absolutely.
No strings attached. If you give a call, get you guys out and check on it. Why is it important to you to have that no strings attached? I mean, that'd be an easy way to make some money, right? Just charge $50 to come out for an estimate. Why is it important to you guys to not charge for estimates?
Well, first off, my wife and I are kind of old school. So we never saw the benefit of charging somebody to see if they want to do business with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So we just don't like that at all. I mean, we're there to come in and hopefully give you something that you need for a reasonable, price at a excellent service. And if you like that, then, we're going to do business together. But to charge you up front for me just to come out there and take a look at your windows,
right,
to me, it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, I got to ask, man, it's a family run business. How is it working with your family? When you first said that, I was like, you still live and kicking. You look great. You got a great mood. You got a great smile. Got good energy.
Yeah.
My wife and I have worked together.
Yeah.
Well, we have 38 years. I think we've been married. We've worked together almost that whole time, 24/7 in different businesses that we've had. So that's not to say, there's not those days where, you need to go sell something. I need to go fix something type of thing. But 99% of the time, it works good. And we're very fortunate with the kids working, and especially with my son, ours, our foreman. If, we want to take some time off, Kathy and I, and, go travel a little bit or take a vacation, we can do that and know that the business is in good hands because he is just a perfectionist at what he does. And he's very sociable and personable, and the customers just love him. And if there is an issue, it's like anything, your dad is still always a phone call away if you need an answer or something. So
we're talking with Gary Schunkweiler of Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Gary, you will be out at the Nebraska Lawn and Leisure Show, Husker Lawn and Leisure Show at the Sand Hills Global Event Center, starting Friday this weekend. Who's all out there representing with you? Is it just you? You bringing the whole crew? Who's out there?
Actually, my daughter, who handles all of the confirmations, the appointments, and that type of thing, is actually in Hawaii this week. Gets back on late Friday, so usually she's there the full time with me. But I'll have Ethan will be there Friday, myself, and then we've got an individual, Marty, who I just hired, who will, I'm not sure he's going to be there Friday, but he'll be there over the weekend, and then Tracy will be there, which is she always says, well, she's the good looks of the business. So
I would have thought it was you.
Yeah,
that's what I tell her.
That's why you're up front.
So we have enough people typically to man the booth, and sometimes we do get we'll have 10 or 15 people asking questions, and we've got a full display, we've got walls built with windows in them and roofs on them and the lights on them. My son does have a side business, a permanent lighting side business, so we kind of combine all of that together, and people come in, they can play with our windows, they can ask us questions, and if they're interested, they can set appointments right then and there.
And I can only assume you built your demo walls and windows yourselves. Didn't subcontract those out.
No, we did. Yeah, that was, in fact, we just finished a fourth one here this weekend. So it looks pretty cool when it's all up.
What are some of the most frequently asked questions you guys get about windows?
Well, one is, how do I really know my windows need replacing? And
that'd be one I would ask.
In some cases, it's obvious. Like, you've got some condensation in between your panes of glass. So your seals are broken. And the efficiency in a window is going to be in that gas that's in between those panes, argon gas. And so if that seal pops and separates and that gas escapes, you've got 2 panes of glass and that's all you've got. That's why you can literally sit in front of a window on a cold day or a hot day and you can feel the heat or the cold come right through the glass.
Right.
So that's usually number one, is that fogginess or condensation in between. Sometimes it's a matter, if they're old wood windows or whatever, or they've had water, issues, they're rotted. And so they don't operate correctly. The old casements, a lot of times they're crankouts. They don't crank them because they can't get them back in unless somebody goes out there and pushes them back in. And some it's just, it's a matter of appeal. Some people just want to update their home, which seems ironic. You'd want to invest that kind of money, but if your windows are 20, 25 years old, you're probably assured there's not much efficiency left in them anyway. So we're fortunate. We do a triple pane, which most companies don't do out there.
What's the difference between what most companies do and the triple pane?
Well, you get the triple and the double pane. And so basically it's one more pane of glass, but with that extra pane of glass, you got 2 cavities now to fill with that argon gas.
Gotcha.
And you got 2 coats of low E, which is kind of a baked on material, reflective material that when the sun hits it, it bounces out. When your heat and cooling hits it from the inside, it bounces it back in to keep it from help keep them transferring.
And all vinyl means no wood that's going to rot, right?
Yeah, it's completely and it's virgin vinyl, so it's not been reprocessed, because the more you reprocess vinyl, the weaker it gets. So that's why we don't have any issues with our vinyl, on our windows at all. And again, the nice thing is, I'm not saying our windows, nothing can ever go wrong with them, but if it does, again, it's warranted and we take care of it. It's just a phone call. Call us up, we'll take care of it.
With how housing prices, so high, and with people thinking like, okay, well then I'll just, reinvest in my house. Have you seen an uptick in business, or you think that might be the trend where people are, you know what, like you said, these windows are 20 years old. We've been in the house forever. You can only be maybe you're in the house 10 years, but it's been 20-year-old house.
Right.
That's a good option to bring value.
Absolutely.
Because it's obviously transferable. Is that something that you see people moving towards as well?
Yeah, we really saw that in the COVID years.
Yeah.
One, because people stayed home when they knew their windows weren't good, but they could tolerate it for a couple hours a night, right?
Yeah.
Or when they're 24/7 and that cold air coming in, it does. It's really, it's a matter of people getting to the point they know they need. I mean, we all know if our windows are bad. It's a matter of really doing the research or finding out how much it's going to be as an investment to do that. Now, fortunately, with our triple pane, they typically pay back within about 7 to 10 years if you do the whole house. So just in your energy savings alone from your energy bills. And of course, furnace runs less, AC runs less, which means you don't have wear and tear on those. You're not going to be replacing those as quick. And that's kind of the frustrating part to us, is when they build a new house, a lot of contractor builders will put in a builder's window because that allows them to then put more money towards countertops or chandeliers or whatever it might be, when in essence, now these people are going to end up having to replace that and invest even more, 5-10 years down the line or whenever.
Cheaping out on stuff that matters.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Not advisable, which is why we advise that you can give Heartland of Nebraska Windows a call today at 402-430-3852. You can visit them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com, or of course, stop by the Husker Lawn and Leisure Show this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday out at the Sandhills Global Event Center. Gary Schunkweiler, thanks a ton for coming in. Hope we hit everything you wanted to. If not, we'll send people your way this weekend for more.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
That's Gary Schunkweiler, Heartland of Nebraska Windows. We'll be back with one more segment to wrap up On the Block for the day.
Download our app by searching for 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day wherever you are. More of On the Block next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and March Madness is here, and Koppel is ready to rock and roll. We just closed the books on a tremendous February, and we're locked and loaded for a big March. True 0% APR is happening right now at Koppel on select new models. Koppel also has over 10,500 off list on new select models. So please stop on by and see what confident driving and confident buying is all about. We're right down 144th Street or online at koppelcars.com. All deals with the roof credit, 0% is standalone.
Give your furnace a break with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Heartland of Nebraska Windows offers a free estimate, full window replacements, all vinyl triple pane windows, and a lifetime warranty on everything while keeping their prices affordable. Sounds too good to be true, right? Heartland of Nebraska Windows is locally and family owned with their own team of installers. Give the window experts at Heartland of Nebraska Windows a call today at 402-430-3852 or visit them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. Elevate your home or business with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows today. And visit with Heartland of Nebraska Windows this week in person at the annual Husker Lawn and Leisure Show at the Sandhills Global Event Center.
It may not feel like it, but planting season is on its way, and now's the time to upgrade your equipment with a late model John Deere planter from Acres Equipment. Acres has an entire lineup of John Deere planters equipped with the latest technology to ensure planting accuracy throughout your field. And to get you up and going, each planter purchased from Acres includes in-field startup support from one of our Precision Ag professionals. Warmer weather is coming soon, so don't delay. Visit your local Acres for details. Offer expires April 30th, 2025.
Salt Mine City is not only Lincoln's newest brewery, but they're also now serving food. Enjoy a full menu of great items daily for lunch and dinner, like their peanut butter and jelly burger with bacon and cheddar cheese, or a Reuben sandwich served on Blackstone rye bread. Don't forget their beef or chicken nachos with guacamole, sour cream, jalapenos, and more. Wash it down with one of their 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager. Salt Mine City, now open 11 a.m. every day but Mondays at 8th and R.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with the child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Automotive Solutions is Lincoln's one-stop shop for all your vehicle needs, from vinyl wraps to engine repair and maintenance. Automotive Solutions offers fleet services as well as printing and graphic design for vinyl applications, plus installation of vinyl for boats, trucks, cars, and anything else you want wrapped. Perfection is their standard, and they never settle for less. Call today at 531-249-5600 or go to automotivesolutionslincoln.com to learn more. That's Automotive Solutions on 2024 Southwest 5th Street in Lincoln.
Hey there, fellas. It's your girl, Jordan, with Sartor Heyman Jewelry. Allow me to get a bit sappy. For women, jewelry isn't just a gift. It's a timeless symbol of love and appreciation. You have to get this right. No fleeting trends or gadgets will make the impact. Every time she wears it, every time she gets a compliment, you win. Trust me, guys. You'll get your money worth. Until next time, this is Jordan at Sartor Heyman Jewelry. Happy shopping, guys.
Lincoln's newest restaurant isn't just a typical sports bar. It's the sports bar for so many reasons. Liquid Asset Sports Bar and Grill in South Lincoln has 23 beers on tap and 36 TVs featuring all things sports from MLB to soccer to golf and more, and football, of course, in the fall. Stop by for their grand opening this Friday, March 14th, and enjoy great food and drink selection at Lincoln's newest go-to, Liquid Asset Sports Bar and Grill at 27th and Jamie Lane in South Lincoln.
Now back to On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
Back for one final segment here during On the Block. Austin Orman and Jay Foreman with you. Big thanks to Gary Schunkweiler of Heartland of Nebraska Windows for some of his time. Great conversation with him. Don't forget, you can go talk to Heartland of Nebraska Windows at the Husker Lawn and Leisure Show this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Sandhills Global Event Center. Jay, the NFL news we were all waiting on. The Indianapolis Colts did the dang thing. 1 year, $14 million with another $3.5 million in incentives for former Giants and Vikings quarterback Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I don't even count him as a Vikings quarterback just because He never played. Didn't need to play him, but I think Kevin O'Connell was probably thinking the hedges bets of, hey, Sam Darnold might have played himself out of our price tag.
Mm-hmm.
This dude probably could be just as good. I think it benefits Indianapolis. Now it's going to be tricky how the evaluation process goes because you got a guy that with significant more playing time, a significant amount in experience. He's been successful. Has done more with less.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got a young, raw, freak athlete that's trying to mature, literally. And so what's going to be the deciding factor? Now, I know health to do it because obviously Anthony Richardson has been hurt, but I mean, Daniel Jones is playing for essentially and hoping for a Sam Darnold-esque year.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to reprove himself. He probably feels he's a starter. He probably feels it's the best place to go and start with, that he can win. It'll be interesting.
Saw these stats from Ian Hartitz on Twitter. He's an NFL kind of stats guy. Couple stats here. Lowest passer ratings in the NFL over the last 2 seasons by qualified quarterbacks. Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. Among 44 qualified quarterbacks in 2023 and 24, the lowest completion rate, Anthony Richardson. In the fewest adjusted yards per attempt, Daniel Jones. These are 2 guys, Jay, that can throw the football, but they're not necessarily NFL passers yet. I like the overlap in their skill set so that if Anthony Richardson is the starter, he gets banged up. Playbook's not going to change like it would to Joe Flacco. There might still be some upside in Daniel Jones with a better supporting cast than what he had in New York. I would still, if you ask me today, I would still, like you said, health aside, pencil in Anthony Richardson as the starter.
They're hoping and expecting. They're hoping and crossing their fingers that he wins.
But if it's week 5 and it looks the same, that's Daniel Jones' team for the last 13 weeks of the year.
So once you put Daniel Jones in there,
there's no going back, is there?
Well, there is, just because Anthony Richardson is so.
But they just went back last year.
That's to let you know they can do it. I just think, Anthony Richardson forced himself to the bench when he tapped out. Now, I don't know. And then also look where the tenure of the coach. So if he starts hearing whispers, what's better way to kind of try to save your job? Put in a new quarterback. Either way, I think Daniel Jones is better than what he's been able to show. I do. I don't think he was probably the number 6 pick worthy, but I think he's better than what people will give him credit for. There was times that he, especially when early in his career, that he was throwing, putting the ball where they needed to be. And remember, they had the most drops in the NFL. The offensive line has been porous, and then they got it. Had Saquon get to the playoffs, and
Shayshawn Barkley got into the playoffs.
Yeah, and Daniel Jones, that was his best year.
Can we also just take a moment and recognize that the New York Football Giants just paid Darius Slayton more than they offered Saquon Barkley?
Right, and he's not a number 1.
He might be a number 2.
He might be. He's in a battle for number 2. And even the New York media was surprised he came back because I think he could have went somewhere else. But heck, he could have gone on to Houston. At least he's healthy.
Right?
Houston. Anybody that's been hurt, you'll go to Houston. So the quarterback position is hard. There's only 32 positions or 32 jobs, and some of them are already taken. And Daniel Jones wants one of them.
Hard to blame him. Minnesota might have been up for grabs too, though.
Yeah, but they want AA. I think AA Ron is going to Minneapolis
with JJ Mack. That's gonna be interesting, Jay. That's
JJ Mack.
Be some fireworks, man.
But you don't have no credibility yet.
He does not. But you really want to introduce Aaron Rodgers to that? That situation? Think about it. We'll talk about it throughout the week.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe
Justin
we won't.
Jefferson and Addison.
Yeah. I'd say we talk about it throughout the week, except, hey, guess
we'll
what?
text about it.
We will. You got to stay basketballing again 4 days.
Yeah, man.
Get fired up.
I'm ready.
Tomorrow, 9 a.m.
Yeah, not happening.
Tomorrow, 11 a.m.
Yeah, maybe.
1 p.m.
After, yes.
1 p.m. Okay,
Yeah,
1 p.m. game. Jay Foreman's there.
Yeah, we'll
for
be
Jay,
there.
For Gary Schunkweiler, I'm Moss Norman. Thanks to the Mercado for their sponsorship of On the Block. Mark Manning in studio for Takedown Tuesdays next.
I'm Chief Dave Engler. When a fire truck hits a pothole with 12 tons of fast-moving equipment and crew, it's a problem.